The text
Still on that
message
phone?
glared back at me like a
Sorry, just
neon
checking
sign of
something.
rejection.
The real world is
Something
over
came up.
here.
You're right.
Can't make it tonight. No explanation. No apology. No rescheduling. Just 12 cold words after 3 weeks of seemingly perfect conversations. I sat alone at the restaurant table, tie slightly crooked, hair still damp from the shower I'd rushed through, staring at an empty chair that should have held Olivia. If you've ever felt that unique mix of humiliation and heartache that comes with being stood up, stick around for this story. Trust me, it goes places you won't expect. And if this resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories that remind us how unpredictable life can be. I was about to signal the waiter for the check, might as well salvage what dignity remained, when a woman approached my table. She had the same warm brown eyes as Olivia but shorter hair that curled just above her shoulders, and unlike Olivia's carefully curated online photos, her face had a constellation of freckles scattered across her nose. "You're Daniel, right?" she asked, sliding into the seat across from me without waiting for confirmation. "I'm Maya. Olivia's roommate." She placed her hands flat on the table, leaning forward slightly. "I'm here instead." I stared at her, trying to process this unexpected development. "Did Olivia send you to apologize or something?" I asked, not bothering to hide the bitterness in my voice. Maya shook her head. "Olivia doesn't know I'm here. She left for her ex-boyfriend's place an hour ago." She said it matter-of-factly, like she was commenting on the weather rather than delivering another blow to my already wounded ego. "So you came to, what? Rub it in?" I started gathering my jacket, ready to end this humiliating evening. "Actually," Maya said, reaching across to stop my movement with a gentle touch on my wrist, "I came because I've heard about you for 3 weeks straight. Because Olivia showed me every message you sent her. Because I know you're a kindergarten teacher who volunteers at animal shelters on weekends. Because anyone who would spend hours helping my roommate craft the perfect playlist for her morning runs deserves better than being ghosted." She paused, then added with a small smile, "And because the reservation was already made, and I happened to be starving." That was how it began, with pity, perhaps, or maybe just kindness. Either way, I found myself staying, ordering drinks, then appetizers, then entrees, the weight of rejection gradually lifting as Maya filled the space across from me with something unexpected: honesty. "I should probably tell you," she said, partway through her mushroom risotto, "that I've always thought Olivia was making a mistake not meeting you sooner. You seemed different from her usual type." "And what type is that?" I asked, genuinely curious now. "The type that looks good in her Instagram photos but makes her cry into her ice cream at 2 a.m., Maya replied. She didn't say it unkindly, just truthfully, and that blunt honesty was refreshing after weeks of carefully constructed text messages with Olivia, each one crafted to present the most appealing version of myself. Maya was nothing like her roommate. Where Olivia's social media presence was curated perfection, Maya spoke about her messy life with unfiltered candor. She told me about her struggling photography business, about the anxiety that sometimes kept her awake at night, about her complicated relationship with her parents who still couldn't understand why she'd abandoned a sensible career in finance to chase artistic dreams. "Sorry," she said after a particularly long story about a disastrous photo shoot involving a bridezilla and an escaped pet ferret. "I tend to overshare with strangers." "I'm not sure we're strangers anymore," I replied. "You already know about my embarrassing Justin Timberlake phase in middle school, thanks to Olivia's big mouth." Maya laughed, a genuine sound that seemed to bubble up from somewhere deep and real. "Oh, she told me way more than that. I know about the time you cried during Finding Nemo, and how you still call your grandma every Sunday, and how you have strong opinions about people who don't return shopping carts to the designated areas." "That's just basic human decency," I protested, feeling both exposed and strangely seen. By the time we split a dessert, chocolate lava cake that erupted across the plate in a river of molten sweetness, I'd forgotten the sting of being stood up. When Maya suggested we take a walk through the nearby park, strings of lights twinkling in the trees despite the late hour, I said yes without hesitation. We strolled past a small pond where a few ducks dozed near the shore, our conversation flowing as naturally as the gentle breeze that occasionally lifted Maya's curls. She stopped to take photos sometimes, pulling a professional camera from her bag, capturing the way moonlight shattered across the water's surface or how the city lights blurred into watercolors in the distance. "What do you see when you look through that lens?" I asked, watching her focus intently on something I couldn't distinguish in the darkness. "Possibilities," she answered without looking up. "Details most people miss. The way that lamplight is hitting the water right now, see how it creates a perfect golden path? Most people walk right past it, but it's magic." She lowered the camera and turned to me with an almost shy expression. "That probably sounds pretentious." "No," I said honestly. "It sounds like you're paying attention to the world in a way most people don't." As the night deepened, Maya showed me photos on her camera's display screen, not just from that night but from her portfolio. Portraits that captured raw emotion, landscapes that seemed to breathe, street photography that told silent stories of moments most would overlook. Her talent was obvious, even to my untrained eye. "You should be successful," I said, genuinely surprised that she wasn't. Maya shrugged. "I'm getting there, slowly. The algorithm doesn't always reward substance over style." There was no bitterness in her tone, just acceptance of the world as it was. We found ourselves sitting on a park bench as midnight approached, sharing stories that seemed too personal for a first meeting but somehow right for the unusual circumstances that had brought us together. "I should probably get home," Maya eventually said, though she made no move to stand. "I have a client meeting early tomorrow." "I'll walk you," I offered. When she started to protest, I added, "I teach 25 5-year-olds tomorrow. If you think your day starts early, try being the first one at school to prepare for the glitter tornado that is kindergarten art hour." She laughed again, that same genuine sound, and accepted. We walked to her apartment, the same one where Olivia lived, a fact that suddenly felt complicated. At her door, Maya hesitated. "This was weird, wasn't it?" she asked. "Meeting like this?" "Definitely weird," I agreed. "But also, one of the best non-dates I've ever had." "Non-date," she repeated with a small smile. "Right. I should have left it there. Should have said goodnight, walked away with a strange but nice memory, and forgotten about both roommates. Instead, I heard myself asking, would you want to have a real date sometime? One that's planned, where neither of us is standing in for someone else?" Maya studied me for a moment, her expression unreadable. "I don't think that's a good idea," she finally said. "Olivia might have left you hanging tonight, but she does still talk about you. A lot. It would be complicated." The rejection stung, but I nodded. "I understand. Roommate code. Something like that." She hesitated, then pulled out her phone. "But maybe we could exchange numbers? As friends. I know some people looking for a photographer for school events, and you mentioned your school never has good photos." It was a thin excuse, but I took it, saving my number in her contacts. "Friends," I agreed, wondering if I actually meant it. That night should have been the end of our story, a strange encounter, a connection that couldn't go anywhere because of complicated loyalties. But life rarely follows such tidy narratives. 3 days later, my phone lit up with a message from Maya, a photo of a small coffee shop I'd never seen before, with the text, "This place makes the best chai latte in the city. Thought you might appreciate the recommendation. Friend to friend." I smiled at my phone, typing back, "Friends share good coffee finds. It's practically in the friendship handbook." And so began a peculiar friendship conducted largely through text messages and occasional, accidental, meetings. Maya would send me photos she thought I'd appreciate, a dog that looked remarkably like the one I'd mentioned wanting to adopt, a sunrise over the city that made the buildings look like they were dipped in gold, a child's chalk drawing on a sidewalk that she thought my kindergartners would enjoy recreating. I'd respond with stories from my classroom, book recommendations, or questions about her latest projects. We were careful to keep it casual, friendly. Neither of us mentioned Olivia, though her presence hovered between us like a ghost. 2 weeks after our non-date, Maya texted asking if I'd be willing to help her with a photography project. I need a male subject for this portrait series I'm working on. Just everyday people in natural settings. No modeling experience required. I agreed, curious about seeing her work process. We met at a small urban garden tucked between office buildings, a green oasis in the concrete landscape. Maya arrived with her camera bag and a nervous energy I hadn't seen in her before. "Everything okay?" I asked as she set up her equipment. "Fine," she said quickly. Too quickly. Then, after a pause, "Olivia asked about you yesterday. Wanted to know if I'd heard from you." My stomach tightened. "What did you say?" I told her the truth. That we ran into each other the night she cancelled on you, and we occasionally text. Maya busied herself with her camera settings, not meeting my eyes. "I didn't mention that we've been talking almost daily." "And how did she take that?" I tried to sound casual, though I wasn't sure why I cared about Olivia's reaction after how she treated me. Maya finally looked up. "She wants to see you. Says she made a mistake going back to her ex that night, that it was a moment of weakness, and she regrets standing you up." The words landed like small stones, each one creating ripples of confusion. "Oh," was all I could manage. "Yeah." Maya lifted her camera, her expression now hidden behind it. "Could you look toward those flowers? The light is hitting them perfectly." I followed her direction, grateful for the change in subject. For the next hour, Maya guided me through various poses and settings, her professional persona taking over. She was good at this, making her subject feel comfortable, finding angles that flattered without feeling artificial, capturing moments that felt honest. Between shots, our conversation returned to safer topics: my students, her other projects, a documentary we'd both recently watched. But the unspoken subject of Olivia hung between us, growing heavier with each avoided mention. Finally, as Maya was packing up her equipment, I gathered my courage. "What do you think I should do?" "About Olivia?" Maya's hands stilled. Without looking up, she asked, "What do you want to do?" "I don't know," I answered honestly. 2 weeks ago, I would have jumped at another chance with her. Now. I trailed off, not sure how to finish that sentence without crossing the invisible boundary we'd established. "Now you've met the superior roommate?" Maya suggested with forced lightness, finally looking up with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Now I've met someone who shows up when she says she will," I corrected gently. "Someone who sees magic in ordinary places." Maya zipped her camera bag with more force than necessary. "Daniel, don't. Please. Don't what? Be honest. Don't make this more complicated than it already is." She stood, slinging her bag over her shoulder. "Olivia is my roommate. We've been friends since freshman year of college. I can't." She shook her head. "Can't what?" "I can't be the reason things don't work out between you two." Maya took a step back. "She really does like you." That night, with her ex, it was a mistake. "She's been talking about you non-stop since before you were supposed to meet." "But she stood me up," I reminded her. Without a real explanation or a decent apology. "People make mistakes," Maya said simply. "She's not perfect. Neither am I. Neither are you. So what are you saying?" I asked, frustration building. "That I should just forget everything and give Olivia another chance?" Maya looked away, her gaze fixed on something in the distance. "I'm saying you should do what makes you happy. And maybe that's Olivia. You liked her enough to wait for her that night, to be disappointed when she didn't show. Those feelings don't just disappear." Before I could respond, Maya's phone chimed with a text notification. She glanced at it and grimaced. I have to go. Client emergency. She hesitated, then added, think about it, okay? About Olivia. With that, she was gone, leaving me standing alone in the garden, more confused than ever. That evening, Olivia texted me directly for the first time since standing me up. I owe you an explanation and an apology. Coffee tomorrow? I stared at the message for a long time, my thoughts a tangled mess. Finally, I replied, okay. When and where? We arranged to meet at a cafe near my school the following afternoon. All morning, as I helped tiny humans master the art of scissor holding and attempted to explain why we don't eat glue, my mind kept wandering to the impending conversation. Olivia arrived precisely on time, looking exactly like her photos, perfectly styled hair, carefully applied makeup, fashionable outfit. She was undeniably beautiful, but somehow, after knowing Maya, her perfection seemed almost too polished, too deliberate. Daniel, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. Thank you for meeting me. Sure, I replied, unsure what else to say. Olivia launched into an apology that sounded rehearsed but sincere. Her ex had shown up unexpectedly that night, emotional and claiming he couldn't live without her. She'd gotten caught up in the moment, in their history together, and made a decision she regretted almost immediately. By the time I realized what a mistake I was making, it was too late to meet you, she explained. And then I was embarrassed. I didn't know how to explain without sounding horrible. A text saying exactly that would have been better than leaving me sitting there wondering what happened, I pointed out. She winced. You're right. I handled it badly. But I want to make it up to you. She reached across the table to touch my hand. Maya says you're even better in person than you seemed in our messages. At the mention of Maya, something tightened in my chest. You two talk about me? Of course, Olivia said, seemingly oblivious to my discomfort. Maya's my best friend. We tell each other everything. She smiled. She's been singing your praises non-stop. Says I was an idiot to miss our date. The conversation continued, with Olivia being charming and apologetic in equal measure. She was funny and engaging, just as she'd been in our messages before the failed date. By any objective measure, this coffee meeting was going well, the connection we'd formed online seemed to translate to real life. So why did I keep thinking about Maya instead? As Olivia told a story about her work as a marketing executive, I found myself comparing her animated hand gestures to the way Maya's hands moved when she talked about photography. When Olivia mentioned a new restaurant she wanted to try, I wondered if Maya would find it too pretentious. When Olivia laughed, a practiced, musical sound, I couldn't help but remember Maya's more spontaneous, unfiltered laugh. You're distracted, Olivia observed during a lull in conversation. Sorry, I said, shaking myself back to the present. Long day with the kids. She accepted the excuse, and as our coffee date wound down, she made her intentions clear. I'd like another chance, Daniel. A real date this time. I promise I'll show up. The right answer should have been easy. Olivia was everything I thought I wanted when we'd been messaging, beautiful, successful, interested in me. Yet I found myself hesitating. Can I think about it? I asked, surprising us both. A flicker of something, disappointment, frustration, crossed Olivia's face before she composed it into understanding. Of course. Take your time. We parted with an awkward hug, and I spent the walk home in deep thought. By the time I reached my apartment, I'd made a decision. I pulled out my phone and texted Maya, had coffee with Olivia today.